Final new 2-year update. Am I the jerk for resenting my dad because of his new family and for seeing my stepfather as a better dad than him? When I was younger, I had a very good relationship with my dad. My parents divorced when I was an infant, but I spent weekdays with my mom and weekends with my dad. My dad and I were like best friends, and we had a simple routine every weekend where we'd get 5 Redbox movies to finish during the weekend. We'd go fishing, we'd play soccer, and we biked to this little secret playground near the Waik. Something else I was used to was my dad always having new girlfriends that never lasted more than 2 weeks. The only one who lasted longer, a woman I really liked who lasted 2 years, left my dad when I was 10. But my relationship with my dad was the same as ever until I was 12, and my dad met his now wife. This woman has 2 kids, one older and one younger than me. They moved into my dad's apartment after only 2 weeks. My room was already small, but my tiny mattress and 3 small plastic drawers were shoved into the corner of the room to make space for the daughter's bunk bed and dresser. Before I knew it, they started putting my bed in a closet until I came to visit and often would forget to take it out at all. When my dad moved into a bigger house, the older sister got her own room while I had to share one with the younger sister every weekend. The 3 small drawers I had were soon just 1 drawer because the little sister every weekend. The 3 small drawers I had were soon just 1 drawer because the lettuce quart. Slowly, I started visiting my dad less and less. Then everything went especially wrong when my dad got his girlfriend pregnant after 1 year. They got married, and I didn't know that for a whole month because he didn't even tell me. I also didn't know my baby half-sister was born until weeks after she came home from the hospital. To make his new family happy, started spoiling them and stopped paying child support for me and my mom. His wife is a jobless gold digger who only cooks and cleans and shops. Her older daughter is having her college paid for by my dad, and the younger daughter is the definition of a 10-year-old Sephora kid. As for my half-sister, she is still a toddler but is clearly spoiled and hates the word no. The routine I used to have with my dad is now dead. As for my stepdad, he's been with my mom since I was 5. Apparently, though I don't remember it, I once called him dad, and because of that my dad told me I shouldn't love, then apparently that's why I started acting like I hated my stepdad. I never knew why I felt that way about him since he'd never been anything but good to me, and in the last few years I've felt much closer to him. He feels like the dad that my birth father should try to be. Over time, my dad has started to treat me differently. He rants to me about his political beliefs and conspiracy theories about aliens and stuff. He also brags about his new business and his new family, and if I ever try to share anything with him, he gets annoyed and shuts me up before continuing with his stories. It's like now he sees me as a buddy rather than his freaking daughter. Also, it was during these last few years that I learned the reason he and my mom divorced was not because they weren't right for each other, but rather because my father cheated on my mom while visiting his family in Canada. I am now 15, and I have become a completely different person than the one my birth dad remembers. I no longer love the beach or soccer, and I now love music and reading and writing. I have written and published 2 books since 2022's, and I'm writing the 3rd in my series. My stepdad supports my dreams and loves me so much that he brags about me to friends and family and calls me his daughter. My stepdad has an actual daughter who I love like a real sister, though she lives up north with her boyfriend and I don't see her often. Still though, I love them more than I love my birth dad and half-sister who I'm actually related to. My dad blames me for never calling, though, because of how he's treated me lately. I don't feel like I owe it to him. I also go months at a time without longer feel it that mat, because I no longer call of it that. Especially since the bed I sleep on over there is literally considered as their guest bed. In my birth dad's house, I am a guest. Because of all of this, I resent my dad. I haven't told anyone about this, so no one is calling me a jerk, but I'm wondering if I am because my dad is in love with his new family, and I'm wondering if it's a bad thing I'm not happy for him. Am I the jerk? Update number 24. Clay 18, 2024. 3 months later. Hello. So, I made a post a few months ago, caught you about, had his attack. Not much has happened since, but here's an update anyway. So, since I made the initial post, I've only visited my dad's house once, and, safe to say, I truly am nothing more than an uncomfortable guest in that house. I should start off by saying that every time I spend a few months without going to his house, my dad tries to play all innocent and calls me on Fridays to ask when he should pick me up. I never answer because he always calls me when I'm in a class or busy with studying, so he'll call my mom. But because he never asks me in advance, I tend to have plans on weekends with my cousins, friends, or just to work on writing, since I am still working on my third book and it takes a lot of focus that I can't get in his house. Actually, I'm now just going to call him Eric. He's honestly not been as much of a dad figure to me as my stepdad has. Anyway, it was my mom who had decided I would go over to his house. Despite the fact that Eric hasn't paid child support in over 2 years now, and I hate going to his house, my mom says I should just visit from time to keep him from getting the court involved. She confuses me, sometimes saying that he's a deadbeat man, but also sometimes saying that he's my loving dad who deserves my respect. However, under the circumstances, I'm fairly certain that nothing would be any different since I never visit him and he doesn't pay child support anyway. In fact, once on Christmas, he bought a bunch of new gifts for his family and wrapped them up and everything, but weeks before Christmas when I was visiting, he drove to Walmart so his wife could do groceries, and he handed me $200 and said, "Merry Christmas. Buy yourself something and the rest can be child support or whatever." I bought 2 books, but the rest of the money that was supposedly child support were another December, and bought 2 books, but the rest of the money that was supposedly child support was nothing near to the amount he owed. I've told my mom I would be happier if he lost custody of me and my stepdad adopted me, but she thinks that's too extreme and says, "He's still your dad. He deserves your respect and love." Now, about the weekend I visited him, from the minute Eric picked me up, all he talked about was his new family. He talked about the older sister and her boyfriend, the younger sister and the shopping she does, and my half-sister who can now talk a little bit. I stayed silent the whole ride until he asked me a question about my school, and when I answered his question, he got frustrated and went into a conspiracy theory rant. I tuned him out for the rest of the drive after that. The rest of the weekend wasn't any better. The older sister did what she always does when I visit and locked herself in her room, only coming out when I left the house or when I was in the bathroom so she wouldn't have to talk to me. And the younger sister had a friend of hers over, and her friend had her stuff tossed on my bed and was sitting on it because it's the bed she sleeps in when she has sleepovers. Eric's wife did a poor job of hiding how bothered she was by me visiting. More than once, she has been completely shocked I was visiting because Eric didn't tell her so she couldn't disagree. And also, most of the weekend consisted of Eric taking me and my half-sister to a playground so she could run around with her friends. And I sat on a bench to read, but I didn't have much time to myself since Eric kept leaving and told me to keep an eye on my half-sister, who is a wild and fussy kid. I am not a babysitter, and while I am good with kids, that does not mean I enjoy putting my own time aside to look after them when they're not my responsibility. I had to spend 2 days in either pure chaos or just coughed with Mom about might not want to go to work. She said that's fine, and she won't force me to go anymore, but since she said that before, I don't believe her. I don't have anyone to really talk to about this, and this whole situation is stressing me out because I don't remember my dad ever being as happy as he is now, and I still sometimes feel like I should be happy for him. I don't know what to do, and any advice on anything I could do would be helpful. Everyone who's commented on my last post so far has said I'm not the jerk and that Eric isn't acting the way a dad should, but he still reaches out from time to time and says I'm his baby girl who he loves. Honestly, I almost cry whenever he says that because it reminds me of how he used to be. Am I overthinking all of this or overreacting? What should I do? Am I the jerk here because I'm not happy for my dad? Update 2, May 19, 2012, next day. Hello everyone. It's only been a couple of days since my last post. Since then, I have taken the advice most of you have given me, and I talked to my mom about how I don't want to keep being forced by her to visit Eric, my sperm donor, as most of you referred to him as. Long story short, I'm not 100% sure she won't continue to send me over to Eric's house, but she did wind up sending him long texts, chewing him out for not treating me right and telling him to step up and pay his child support. He didn't answer her though, so I followed some other advice and wrote him a long text myself that detailed how I felt about his treatment of me the last few years. The thing is, as soon as I sent that text, he called me to yell at me and called me spoiled and overdramatic. He said it's my fault we don't have a relationship since I never visit or talk to him anymore, and because I mentioned the unpaid child support, he said that I was only reaching out to him for money. I nearly cried during that phone call and wound up just hanging up on him. He sent him a payhead, but later that day, he left a voicemail on my phone saying, "Money is kind of tight for me right now. I'm completely broke. You know I love you, right?" The thing is that I know that's a lie because I'm always seeing my younger stepsister make TikTok videos showing off the Sephora and other expensive crap he buys her all the time. I think I'm done trying. And some of you suggested asking my stepdad for help. I wish I could, but when I asked my mom again if he could adopt me, she said something that absolutely hatch. Apparently, my stepdad himself said he doesn't feel like he should adopt me. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?